but you've had teeth and hair done at the age of 29, so it's a bit. You know what I mean? It's bad. Scott, right? Let's move on. Let's talk about the new Palace
Yeah.
manager, who it's meant to be. And guys, do us a favor again. Do like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Scott, take it away. Let's talk about the new guy, and it looks like it's going to be done. Obviously, there's no guarantees. Um, maybe maybe Palace win every game until now and the end of the season. Maybe they finish sixth and in the Europa League and Roy stays. You never know. You never know. But it is looking like it's going to be the ex-Frankfurt manager. Um, what's your thoughts, really? Because
Mate, I think
Roy
like when
needs
it
to
was one
move
of
on.
them, I'll be honest, and I think we both kind of said the similar thing in terms of when we spoke a little about speaking about him. I didn't know much about him in all honesty until I started to read into him, and of course things started to come back to me. The fact that he managed to win the Europa League with Frankfurt, if I'm right in saying within that run he managed to knock out Barcelona and West Ham en route to doing that. And the first question I had was, well, why has this guy been sacked from Frankfurt? And it looked like he went on a winless 10-match game last season, which ended up they dropped from second down to I think it was ninth in the table, but ended up finishing seventh in the table. And look, if you look at how Frankfurt are doing now, they're still pretty much in the same place. I think this is a guy that was absolutely adored by the fan base for good reasons. And I think the two
It
things that
was.
I've picked out in particular, mate, which I think Palace fans are watching and maybe people that are watching might be interested in, is this is a guy that one's going to have passion. And I know that Palace fans have kind of not really liked Roy's lack of passion. And on the other hand, this is a guy that plays aggressive, forward-thinking football. And again, I imagine that'll be a delight to Palace fans when you consider the kind of players that they've got as well.
No, I completely agree. I mean, to win the Europa League and then to finish seventh and then just to part ways, it's a bit weird, isn't it? But of course,
That's what
they beat Rangers in the final. Of course, that Rangers team that just kept going and going and going. Um, Palace needs something new, don't they? Because yeah, it's great to be in the Premier League every season. You start to gain more fans around the world, or just maybe in London, just trying to take a little bit more of the market. We're seeing more Wolves fans now around Wolverhampton because, instead of kids at school now supporting Arsenal and Man United and Liverpool, they are supporting Wolves now because we're doing
Yeah, of
better,
course.
and that's how you grow a club. But they're gonna want to do something eventually. Is this like their 10th season in a row in the Premier League? I feel like it is since Zaha went up with them after he left United. It's got to be about 10 years now,
Well, let me ask
close
you
to
this
it.
question then, mate, because I kind of could see where you're going on this, but just on Crystal Palace, some people are saying that Crystal Palace fans are being ungrateful and they just need to realise that they are just a Premier League club and they should be thankful that they're a Premier League club and not falling down into the Championship because they haven't really got the facilities to be a club that gets into Europe. For me, I don't buy that. Leicester won the league. Again, not to bring up our club up, but we managed to get into Europe at some stage. Brighton, look what they've managed to do. And even if you look at a club like Luton and Brentford, the fact that they've managed to get into the Premier League really does show that you can do above what you're supposed to. And I think Palace fans have that right to feel like they don't want to go into every season knowing that they're going to finish about 14th, 15th position, maybe have a bit of a relegation battle, but ultimately end up safe.
I just never feel like they go for it in the windows. Like they've been
No.
in the Premier League so long now, and they're making between 120 and 150 million a season. I never really see them like. I'd love to know what their record signing is. I'd love to know what that is. Have a quick look, but I've never had like Wolves have had windows where they've gone for it. Forest have obviously tried it.
Oh,
Other
mate,
clubs
and
have tried it that are in
without
that
bringing them up
area.
too much, as we know, Brighton being Palace's rival, the bus look at Brighton and where they've come from and thinking,
Yeah.
what's happened. In fact, I think
How
their record
many?
signing still Christian Benteke in it in the 16-17 season. I mean, that says a lot,
You've
doesn't it?
8 years of Premier League football since then. Yeah, okay, throw COVID in there, but when you've got clubs like Wolves, and yes, it was a mistake. It was a mistake. We threw 35 million at Fabio Silva. It didn't turn out. It didn't work out. But what if it did? What if he scores 15 goals this season as the wonder kid we thought he was? And listen, Everton have spent money badly, but they've spent it. Palace have always done good business. I wonder how long they can survive trying to bring these players like Elise Eze, Zaha. You're not going to keep bringing through these wonder kids. I wonder if this new guy is going to come in and say, you know, one, am I going to get any help? But two, I feel like the fans are just thinking, where is our money going? Because you never see Palace spending money. Go for it.
No,
You're
and
in
you know,
London.
you do
Do you
look
know
at their
how
recent.
big that is as well to attract these types of players? If Wolves and Palace offer a player the same money and the same fee to the club, they're going to go to Palace because it's in London. And I don't feel like enough clubs use that to their advantage. They
No,
really need to.
I do completely agree with that, and you know, I think you look at the kind of business that these guys have done of recent times. You know, looking at their top signings as well, Mark Gay, a good signing. Chiet Decore, they
Yeah.
brought him quite young, another good signing. And obviously, you've got the likes of Joachim Madison a bit further down the list, Ezzy. You've also
Yeah.
got obviously you've got Elise coming in as well. Um,
Yeah.
as you say, when they spend money, they spend it well. They just don't spend that much, and you know, you really.
They
I think
just
that's
don't
one of the
seem
things
to.
that Palace fans have also been complaining about, is about how static they've been, but they never really go for it in the market. But I think this guy's going to want money, because this is a guy that's used to. I mean, look, I'm sure he's delighted at the opportunity of the Premier League and proving himself. But this is a guy that won a
Yeah.
Europa League. He's not just going to sit there and go, "I want to be in a champion a relegation battle," is he? And what do we speak about, just a tiny bit on him, mate? Just about the kind of football that he's going to play as well.
Mm.
I mean, one of the things when I was looking at him is he played at Eintracht Frankfurt. He played a 3-4-2-1, but it was quite a narrow formation, and that was something
It
that
was.
interested me.
Mm.
Because those two, you think of an Eze and Elise, and you kind of think how they are going to be, you know, attacking players, but kind of at the moment they're quite wide, especially Lise. Is he going to try and bring those guys a bit more narrow, rather, and just try and get them to maybe being a bit more in front of goal and show them what they can do there?
When I think of Palace, obviously they haven't got the quality, but I do think of them as that Spurs type of team where it's all about good football.
Yeah,
Very rarely do you watch Palace, whether they lose 4-1 or win 3-2, or they don't seem to have games where you go, "Oh, sitting 10 men behind the
I think
ball
that's where
and
it's gone
trying
under
to."
Roy, hasn't it? Especially this time round.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I would agree with that, especially this season. Maybe there hasn't been that free flowing because, well, let's be honest, Scott. If this was a different type of relegation season, if this was last season or the season before, they're on 24 points and the 5 points clear. But last season, they wouldn't have been this far off the relegation zone.
That's true. It's
Um,
true.
they'd have been a lot closer, especially years before that. It's It's hard to say, isn't it? Listen, he won the Europa League with Frankfurt. That's no easy thing to do. I think they actually beat West Ham on the way to that win,
They
didn't they?
did,
In the
and
semi,
Barcelona, mate, and Barcelona too.
beat Barcelona and West Ham on the way. So obviously he knows what he's doing. I think Palace are one of those teams where if they can spend a bit of money, don't know where all their money goes because it's not building a new stadium, is it, or
No, no.
refurbishing the ground they've got. But if they were to spend some money with this guy, I do like the way he's conducted himself and the way he plays football. There's no reason why they can't be pushing for the Europa League places. I just don't see why they can't. They've got the
And
fan base. They make a lot of noise at Selhurst Park.
he's got to be a bit more forward thinking as well. And I do wonder if,
Yeah.
interestingly, if there are any Palace fans, let us know. But of course, I do wonder as
Do let
well
us
whether
know.
he would kind of be thinking at the same time, Palace fans, are they thinking, I'd rather have a manager that's going gives it a go. And you know what? If it
Mhm.
fails and we end up in the championship, we've got a good chance of coming back up the next season anyway. I'd rather have that and take the risk than just constantly
I
what we're
can't
doing.
see them going down.
No,
The only way I can see them going down, because next season the Premier League is going to be very strong. Leeds and Leicester likely probably going to go up. Maybe Southampton if they win the playoffs, or if it changes, if Preston
all the
get back
changes
into it,
between
or
Southampton and Leeds, yeah.
yeah, it's going to be a lot stronger next season. So any teams that just miss it this season, your Forest, your Palaces, your Evertons, it's going to get harder next season. I feel like they're one of those teams that could either be in a relegation battle next season, or they could just go the other way, and by Christmas they could be ninth. They're one of those teams. I really think they could. I think they're closer to being, if they spend money in the summer, I think they're closer to Europe than fighting relegation. Because if they sell Elise and Eze, there's 120 million between them two, 100
And
million.
I do
So
have to say as well, mate, you know, I do look at the team and I do think they should be achieving a lot more. So ultimately, I'm not surprised. And all in
yeah.
all, I don't know if you agree with me, mate, but I think it looks like a good appointment.
I do as well. Palace fans, let us know your thoughts in the comments because you're probably going to be watching this while we're not live. And if you're wondering where this video came from, if you're wondering, wow, this is a random clip talking about Palace, two Wolves fans, this is actually our Sunday live every Sunday, 12 p.m. UK time. Make sure that you have the notifications on and join us because, well, we're going to talk about you every week on our Let's Talk Premier League. So, yeah, have a good day.
Yeah.
Let's.